con la sua presenza la nostra prima sessione in italiano di questa conferenza e ora vi invito a seguire la seconda sessione che verrà introdotta dalla mia collega Natasa Kraljevic che parte proprio adesso alle 11:15. Grazie mille a tutti ancora.
Hello everyone. Hi.
Hi, hello everybody.
Hello, okay, we are starting with the session number 2, artistic and cultural exchange in an interconnected world. We're just continuing via same link. The colleagues from the session, from the previous session can join us. We are switching to English language and we're starting with the next group of guests. Okay, in the session number 2, we have 3 presentations. Today, the speakers are here, and the first title that is going to be presented, it's Freedom of Artistic Expression, How Meaningful Cultural Exchange Could Look Like, by representatives of the Compendium of Cultural Policies and Trends. Here are with us this morning Ulrike Blumenreich and Olivier Gobel. I would shortly read their biographies and then I would give them a floor. They will present together. Ulrike is Vice Director of the Institute for Cultural Policy within the Kulturpolish Gesellschaft in Germany and head of the Compendium Coordinator. She leads several international research and monitoring projects, coordinates the service provider of the Compendium of Cultural Policies and Trends, works as a numerous cultural development planning processes, and she works also as lecturer at universities and as international consultant. She graduated in applied cultural science at the universities of Limburg and Vaxo, Sweden. Olivier Gobel is project manager of the Compendium of Cultural Policies and Trends and research associate at the same institution. He studied political science, economics, and social science at the University of Bonn. From 2005 to 2017, he was project manager of the European Institute for Comparative Cultural Research, where he was responsible for the coordination and logistical execution of transnational comparative research studies or projects. Good morning, Ulrike. Good morning, Oliver. Thank you for joining us. Please, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting us to this international conference. We are very happy to be here. We means my dear colleague, Olivier Gobel, who is just sitting beside, and me. And thank you, dear Natasa, for presenting us to our dear colleagues. We would like to start our presentation. And okay, just a small check. Can you see our presentation? Yes, wonderful. So we would like to introduce our compendium, meaning the Compendium of Cultural Policy and Trends, to you, and then give you an example of how we are dealing with cultural policy exchange within the compendium by presenting our survey on freedom of artistic expression. Then on the third and the fourth part that will be given by Oliver, we are looking at the preconditions of a meaningful cultural policy exchange and especially some aspects and impacts on cultural exchange. Let's start to give you a short introduction into the compendium. So our Compendium of Cultural Policy and Trends is an online information and monitoring platform on cultural policy and cultural policy related issues. We are an independent, transparent, and community-based platform that is free accessible to all. We are established in 1999 as a joint venture of the CDCPP of the Council of Europe and ERIC Arts. And in 2017, we faced a transition into a multi-stakeholder association. And nowadays, We are 25 members, consisting as well as on ministries and on research institutions. And we are bringing together more than 80 experts from all over the Europe. So meaning we could bring in now more than 25 years of experiences in exchange knowledge, developing knowledge, interaction, and exchange among cultural policy community, but also among cultural policy research community. What do we offer? Our main task is to provide systemized and regularly updated cultural policy research information. And now we could cover more than 45 countries from Europe at the moment. And we are looking at the one hand to the community of cultural policy researchers, but on the other hand, on cultural policy makers, as well as artists, of course, students and journalists as well. So seeing these kind of broad audience that we try to reach to, we have developed during the last years different kinds of products. Our heart are the cultural policy profiles of each of our countries of Europe. And in order to provide the different needs, we do have the long country profiles, each consisting of around 80 to 100 pages, and the short ones to get a shorter introduction on the cultural policy. And I just brought you the chart, which kind of information do we offer within these profiles. So you'll find information about the cultural policy system, about current cultural affairs. You will get data on culture and creative sector, but as well information on law and legislation on all cultural areas. We are focusing on arts and cultural education, but also on consumption. And of course, you'll find a lot of data about the financial situation. Well, these are the information you can expect having a look at our national profiles. Each of the profiles can be found on our website, and that is culturalpolicy.net, and are created by our national experts that we're working with. And I'm very happy to say that Natasa is our national expert for Montenegro. Besides our profiles, we also offer statistics, comparison, and trends, and we do provide a special material section on our annual topics. That has been a couple of years before the COVID, and since 2022, we are now concentrating on freedom of artistic expression that I'm going to explain a little later on. You will find country reports on our website as well, and key documents, of course, but we are not working only on an online platform. We are also meeting in person, and one of these instruments for our meeting and exchanging information and networking are our international cultural policy conferences. And just to bring you a little impression about our last conference that we had in Malta a couple of weeks ago, to the Right of Culture, where we could welcome the UN Special Rapporteur Karima Benouni and Helena Dali, and you'll see we were discussing and exchanging good practice to the right to culture. And we are really happy to announce that our next International Cultural Policy Conference in autumn in 24 will take place in Montenegro. So just to sum up, Compendium is really stands for empowering cultural policy and cultural policy research, you providing these qualified information. And we are trying to develop the cultural policy through our information and mainly through the enhancing of knowledge exchange and networking. So we're working very much with good practice cases, and our really aim is to learn from each other, to exchange and learn from each other. Just to give you an example, when we had our focus section on COVID, we also collected all the measurements, how the different countries deal with the COVID issue, and what did they do for supporting the art sector. And so we got a lot of person who asked us, could you give us some advice? Ministry came to ask us, and so we could provide all the material, and this could and was really a valuable instrument of exchanging how the others are doing, what can I learn from their work, and how can I adapt. And so this is a small example. Here you can see it's not only cultural exchange, but it's cultural policy exchange, what we are doing, involving really a variety of stakeholders, meaning including governmental bodies. We are including cultural institutions, of course, artists, cultural practitioner communities, and the general public. And we are inviting all people to come together to our international conferences. So here you can see cultural exchange and cultural policy exchange are the heart of our work. To make it even more concrete, we're happy to present you the results on the survey on freedom of artistic expression. As I said, we're working with annual topic, and since 2021, freedom of artistic expression is a really hot topic due to the threatened situation. So that's why we decided to take that issue. And we what did we do? We wanted to raise awareness on this really important element of cultural policy. So we did a lot of context papers that was done by our dear colleague Andreas Wiesand, giving materials on definitions, political climate, censorship, social and community pressure. And you'll find on our website a lot of compiled material about actors, studies, reports, events, but we ourselves did a survey as well, and we try to give you the results. So what did we aim for with this survey? We wanted to get the status quo, and this one from two perspectives. One from the objective one, but also we wanted to get a glimpse of the subjective evaluation of our expert of the development of freedom of artistic expression at the moment. So we developed a questionnaire, and we were working together with our country experts, and we got the responses from 37 countries that we are going to present you. First one, we wanted to know, and we had a closer look to the legal framework, and we wanted to see if there are any parts of the Constitution or special acts on culture that are referring to freedom of artistic expression. And we found out that in the constitutions of 25 countries, there are special paragraphs that are related to freedom of expression or even freedom of artistic expression. And in 6 countries, we could recognize special acts on culture where the freedom of artistic expression play a special role. Then we were really interested in seeing the different 6 dimensions of freedom of artistic expression, what kind of good practice of measurements the countries are doing to support this freedom of artistic expression. And I just brought you here some examples that we would like to point out and to emphasize. So for instance, the basic income for artists at the pilot project in Ireland. We'd like to highlight the social security for artists as we do have in Poland or Germany. We could figure out some special fair payment measurement at our colleagues in Austria. We could discover special cultural participation measurements as well as in Latvia as in Germany. To point out is the support of professional artistic association as we could find in Switzerland, or some mobility grants for artists in Ireland. We do have a lot of more examples, and we are happy to present this in our publication. It's just to give you some example of which kind of good examples we're looking for. We ourselves doing monitoring ourselves, we were really keen on the information to find out, are there bodies or institutions that monitor artistic freedom in their country? And here you can see maybe it's less than expected. In 60 countries, we could find institutions that are monitoring the status quo of freedom of artistic expression. Mainly, those are Ministry of Culture, but also you can find human rights stakeholders who are taking over this job, observatories or cultural association. But in 21 countries, there's no real actor and no real place or responsible institution that is collecting data on that issue. Looking at the legal mechanism for complaint, this situation is a little better because in 22 countries, you will find those legal mechanisms. I'm going to give you a small glimpse into the question if artistic freedom have played a role in cultural policy discourse. Here you can see we do have nearly half of them where the country used the answer on a scale 1 no role to 6 major role, and you can see nearly the half where where artistic freedom plays a really low role. You could even find 3 countries where it's nothing at all. But on the other hand, you can find the other half of the countries where it's really important, and you will see 5 countries where artistic freedom is a really, really major issue. So that means an average, seeing the scale from 1 to 6, it's 3.7. And these are the first results. And now I'd like to hand over to my dear colleague, Oliver, who's going to continue with our survey results and then explaining our exchange other models.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. And I'm glad to be here and to present some results again from the survey. And then I will first give you a reason why we did this and what it has to do with cultural exchange. So to give you next information, oh, I'm on the wrong one, sorry. The next page is discussing, or we're presenting the results of the survey regarding the subjective impression of our experts network on the current state of freedom of artistic expression in their country. And it's, I think, a very important impression because if you regularly monitor this impression via the experts every year or every 2 years, you get a tendency or a trend regarding the real development of this freedom in their state or not. And here you can see the current state seems to be very good. On a scale from 1 to 6, it's 4.2. But if you go on the second question, on the second graph below, there's the question, how did it develop over the last 5 years, this freedom of artistic expression? And there you can see it's already half a point lower, meaning it has become less better than before. So there's already to see a certain negative tendency in this development from 5 years ago to nowadays. And if we continue this survey in a monitoring way, we will surely give much more clear, detailed results on what is happening in the countries and where are the focus points or problems. In the next graph, I would like to point out what are the major restrictions of freedom of artistic expressions in the countries. We have given our experts 3 to 4 different areas where we think it's major importance or major restrictions of freedom of artistic expressions. And that's one time political climate. The second is censorship or self-censorship, what is very important. And a third one, a new version, let's say it like this, is the social and community pressure. Under this, we understand that, for example, also social media activities or media activities or social communities are giving pressure to artists in order to restrict their freedom of artistic expression. And here we could see a clear development that political climate is on the first place of all the different ones. And if you look on the second graph, you can see also here we ask, how did it change over the years? And it is also the same one. Political climate is the one who has become worse. So meaning political climate is the main restriction to freedom of artistic expression in the last years in Europe. We don't want to give some special country examples because we don't want to benchmark or to brand somebody as bad or good in our countries. But nevertheless, it's an overall tendency that we want to give as an impression to the whole community. So meaning all Europeans who are looking at this data understand that political climate is a thing that they should look at when they talk about freedom of artistic expression. So the last question that I will explain is about the access to funding, because we have elaborated this survey also in discussions with our experts, and they were also mentioning that funding is a key instrument of restriction when it comes to freedom of artistic expression or freedom of expression in general. And there we asked our experts, what do you believe is, what importance has access to funding in the context of freely express themselves in their artistic freedom? And it was with 4.9 a clear result that it's the major restriction. What is understandable if you have a theater where the municipality say, no, we don't want to have this and this and this kind of activity because it would harm or give problems to our population, then the artist is restricted in his freedom of artistic expression. And here we wanted our experts to clearly mention which are the sensitive themes or topics in this kind of restriction. And here we give you 5 examples. That religion, when it comes to religion, there is a certain restriction to this freedom. When it comes to the topic of immigrants or refugees, or race and ethnicity, or LGBTQI+, and to certain historical contexts regarding national historical context, let's say it like this. And these are some sensitive topics in general. For each country, it's different, and everyone has its focus point, but we wanted to give a general impression. Why did we do this survey? We have seen in our group of experts and members, which is a diverse and very open-minded group of coming from whole Europe, of 45 countries and even more. And we are always discussing openly and very direct what is in fact happening when it concerns cultural policy, because we know that cultural policy is a very important aspect when it comes to culture. It is the one who gives the framework that culture and the cultural field can develop in a good way. And that's, for example, culture, freedom of artistic expression is a very important element of this cultural policies. It's a law which gives the artist the ability to work really in a free environment and to flourish his expression and also enable cultural exchange. So that's the reason why we made this survey, because it's important for all of the different countries to see what are the others thinking of this. For example, if we would ask a Swedish person, how is the situation about freedom of artistic expression, he would say, wonderful, it's great here. We have everything fine. Our laws are fine. Our systems are fine. Nevertheless, other countries have not the same situation, and they have maybe opposite situation. And just by reflecting each other and seeing what the other is doing, by this survey, you get an overview of the general situation, meaning from a frog eye's view to a bird's eye view. And you have a much better impression of what is really the situation. Also for Sweden, because what does it help if Sweden is in a wonderful shape, but in Europe it's going worse? And then it would sooner or later also come to Sweden. So it's a common activity, and that shows also the importance of such surveys to understand what is happening. So for very meaningful cultural exchange, we need certain preconditions. That's what we have learned in our 25 years of experience with the Compendium of Cultural Policies and Trends. And that's, like I just mentioned, when working or developing this survey, you need an open-minded attitude, and you need certain acceptance and a respect from each other. may the person be from Azerbaijan or from Iceland or Portugal, you have to be very clear and open, and it should be a mutual interest when it comes to cultural exchange to learn from each other. So when you're open-minded and interested to learn and accept the other, you get the ability to have this perspective that the other has, being developing yourself, because in fact exchange is a matter of development, and there you need certain skills or abilities, and that is really important, and that's mentioned here in the second point. You need strong communication skills, certain intercultural competences, and certain empathic and diplomatic skills. I said it like this because you need to understand in a first moment that another can be completely contrary to your opinion or understanding, and you first accept it and look at it on a neutral way and not just saying, no, it's not my thing. And this ability gives a good room for cultural exchange. And I think that's the same for artists. They are mostly very open-minded and very communicative and accepting each other. And that's their ability to freely express and to be in an artistic exchange situation. Why is it so important to have cultural exchange? I just mentioned it before. It is an exchange also of experiences. Should it be your own experience when you're seeing the other person, but you're also hearing the experience of the other person. And it is your ability to enhance your perspectives and impressions of the world that you have, and this way to develop yourself and your community that you are influencing later on. And that's, we think, very important for us, because we are dealing with cultural policymakers who are influencing the cultural policy and the cultural field in Europe. So if we give them certain impressions how the others are dealing, they are learning themselves intuitively and are changing things in their countries to a better, because they see the others are doing also. So it comes to continuous improvement, which is a human desire. In fact, we want to develop each other's every day. We learn, should it be actively or passively? And these are giving really important impacts on the personal view and on a social view. And here I would like to show some aspects and impacts of artistic and cultural exchange. That's one time the bridging of differences. By talking to somebody else from another country or another artist or a person that is totally different from you, in the interaction, you just breaking down barriers in yourself, and it's giving the possibility of bridging by communicating. So the exchange is the key of understanding each other. And this is why we have put it as one of the important aspects. Another point is it's showcasing pluralism. It means that you understand the richness of culture in different countries, and that they are having, for example, Greek culture is predominantly on cultural heritage. In northern countries, it's, for example, more on literature and film and less on heritage. So everyone has a different understanding of what culture is for him, but seeing the other gives him another impression of the importance of this for himself. And so it's showcasing pluralism, or if you want the new word, cultural diversity. And it's also giving you the possibility of fostering global awareness, meaning what we just said about the survey, you have a common problem. And by seeing each other and having exchange, you understand, oh, we have all the same problem in freedom, or we have all the same problem regarding sustainability or climate change. And then you have a community building in this context of exchange. Other points is it's enabling joint ventures, meaning, in fact, cooperation. By having exchange, you are binding to the other persons. You are connecting to them in a certain way so that you are able then also to make projects or activities or artistic works with them. And you are personally and emotionally building relations to these persons, or on a more administrative way, you are building diplomatic relations by understanding and having exchange. And the sixth point that we have here is digital connectivity. I would say it's a new development that came up with our Zoom times, like we are doing it now, for example. It's a very good example of cultural exchange just by the digital devices. We would have more difficult to do it in real life, but now it's possible to exchange and get new views and impressions.
Thank you. Thank you. We will have to soon just respect the time for the other participants.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We are finishing, and
Exactly.
thank you for your patience.
We have lot of things to do and to say about that, but nevertheless, we would like to have give the feedback more place than having a monologue here.
I know it's so many things are happening, and there is so many issues that you raised here, and they're so interesting. So we have in our session last 15 minutes separated for the questions and comments. So now we're just going with 3 presentations in a row, and then we will keep some time for discussion. So I would like to invite Mar Introini as our next speaker. Mar will discuss. Her presentation is titled All-in-One, Cultural Democracy and Not One Global Standard for All. We are kind of staying in the same dimension here. Mar Introini, PhD, is a writer, speaker, facilitator, international speaker, goodwill ambassador, doctor honoris causa, political analyst, and founder of the blog The sustainabilityreader.com that focuses on reshaping the global system mainly through a new political approach, taking citizen engagement as one of the main drivers to change, along with the zero leadership concept, reforms from global and regional institutions, particular on the European Union and the implementation of the global goals. With a legal background as a public attorney and legal advisor, Mar holds a vast experience living in different cities and cultures. She has developed a strong sense of multiculturalism based on the need to make of integration and new legal approaches a turning point for future societies. Holistic approaches that transform cultural and religious diversity into a common goal. The fact that Mar has been appointed as Global Chair G100 Global Networking, a group of 100 women from all backgrounds and culture, reinforces and complements her commitment towards change from individual action. The group aims to empower through connections in a virtual and innovative platform all over the world, opening spaces for dialogue and exchange. Dear Mar, thank you for joining us today. Please, you have time for your presentations within 15 to 20 minutes. So please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Natasha, for the invitation, and a heartiest congratulations for this event. There are many events about art, but very few ones that explore what is the role from the arts to contribute in a global crisis. I'm trying to share my screen. I don't know if yes, it's okay. Let's see it.
Yes, it's shared, it's here.
Okay, so when we do that, when we insert what is art in a culture that is politics, we need to make different steps. And that's why I came with this concept of all-in-one culture democracy. Why I say that? Because when we started in the 90s with the system, with a global system, the idea, the philosophy, the principles and values to create a global system, we created with that idea all-in-one multiplicity of cultures that came together, different traditions, different religions that came together, different kind of art, different styles, all together contributed to our society. But now what happened? It turns to become one global standards. And that is a matter of power. And that's why I'm here as a political analyst. Maybe it could be awkward in the beginning to think why a political analyst had to be here in an event that is based in art. Well, this is the reason, because when art try to make influence, try to have a role, this is why we enter in a political process. And this is why we need to analyze it. We cannot get rid of that. Unfortunately, maybe. Not one global standards to all. That is what this axis of power is trying to make, trying to get a global government, global system, global products, and we lose that. We became a decaffeinated system. That's not global. Global is about the challenge, facing the challenge of integrate religions and traditions and cultures, and not to create one for others. If not, we have a very dangerous step towards the power of an elite. And for the beginning, I would like for you to have some questions. Let's make some questions. Let's use our critical thinking. Let's boost it. Political influence. Is art a way to influence politically? Yes or no? Or is the art in complicity with politics? Or is just personal art? As we have seen before in the presentation, that we say freedom of art expression. It was Oliver who said that. Do we have that? We have the right to do that? Art is a personal or a public sphere, because it's completely different. The way we rule the activity is completely different. It's accountable. We are accountable. The artists are accountable to the state, to the people, if they violate human rights. That's part of the public sphere or not. We have to respect that. Let's make these questions, and then we are going to get the answer through the analysis that I think is quite pertinent in this for these purposes. That is, I divided in 5 stages in history, 5 milestones of what is really change from society, from art, trying to analyze this, I'm very daring, but I say it's a toxic mix, what is art and politics. And it's a Renaissance, a Renaissance era, then French Revolution, Victorian era, especially focused on what is Industrial Revolution, World War II, and finally digital art. As you see, it started after Second War, in 1950. And we talk about digital art like 20 years ago, but it's not. So we have an agenda, a political agenda on art that came before. Let's start with Renaissance, the big era of the Renaissance. In the end, in political terms, it was at the service of monarchy power. Remember that this is the art patron's time. Artists are used it as a way to influence biased interest for monarchy, boosting classicism, secularism. And there's no better example than this painting from Tiziano, that it was also a patron in the court of the monarch, that is the Charles V Mulberry Battle. You see, there's no religious elements, nothing that you could guess her intention or the meanness of what is a battle. You just see a superhero that is above any religions. So we see that we need the art at the service of the monarchy. French Revolution, art as a political flag, using by an intellectual construction. In the end, the French Revolution was an intellectual construction. This bourgeois time, magic time, yes, but for art, it was to try to separate the church from state. Liberty leading the people from Delacroix was the best example for that. There's no religion elements, and what we have is a very powerful revolution, but very weak leadership in terms of revolutionary. So again, we have art at the service of a group, not in this case the monarchy, but in the case of this new social class that emerged. And we jump into this industrial revolution. Art at the service of the machines. It sounds similar from here, isn't it? At the service of technology, artificial intelligence. Maybe we could start making parallels. But really, that was getting in love with machines, as Ivo Parnacci with his train in motion, that is futurism. It was at the end of the Industrial Revolution. This was really like that, or was a political process that involved commercial interest, exacerbating what is entrepreneurship ambitions, trying to grow what is the working class at the service of the growth of the factory system, enlarged markets. So we also have here another interest completely different, what is the independent, that should be an art movement. Then we have the terrible stage of the World War II, art as a true tool for political power, with the Nazis and the cultural change propaganda. We see that it was the worst and the best example to know how much harm the art could make in these processes. They banned what they call it the pervert art. And in certain way is what happened now. Who banned when in social media there is art or there is a comment, there is not part of ethics? Who decide with ethics? It's on the hands of private hands, because that is what is the power of the digital world. And they establish new codes, and very easily through art, through culture, through music, they could make it. Also for architecture with the Bauhaus. There was a massive distribution of this new art. It sounds familiar, isn't it? To now, what is happening now with social media, what is this massive communication. And in the end, the digital art in the end, what creates is one global standard. And for me, that is not part of the integration. That is not the colorful of what means different styles of art. Art becomes vulnerable, manipulative, political bias. And that's why I choose this background, now they're losing the colors. It's true, the threat of a digital dictatorship. And for me, this digital art from Adam Martinakis, The Insiders, for me is one way to show what means the difference of what a cultural democracy, global, and a real cultural democracy. That is only one, altogether only one. We need to, there are enclosed, there are zigzag in a planet. We need to try to depict one to each other. So this is the image that we don't have, we must not follow. We need to pass from a global dictatorship and axis of power toward a true integration. And this means also political ideologies. We are not integrating political ideology. We are in a steady struggle. And this is the worst threat to a true cultural democracy. And we have the tools. This is not magic. And we don't need to wait for the public sector. We have social media using different. We have the media that need really mechanism of transparency to make it really happen and useful. Mass communication, we need to be truly careful about that because there are not ways to control them. Research institutions, most of the research institutions are biased. And we don't have the mechanism to control that. They are ideologically biased. Education for the future generation is very important to build on them what is critical thinking. The political sector, we need a clean political sector. And the mechanism, again, of transparency and accountability need to be global. In this case, it's good to be global, to have one standard, because that is what really applies to all. And finally, citizen engagement. If we don't have the debate, the exchange, and the engagement of the people, the influence from the cities, from a personal way, inserted in a society, it would be impossible. So I think this is the time for art to be reivindicating, regenerating, respected, and reshaped, and ideologically pure. That I don't think is the case. So finally, thank you so much for contributing to regain the colors of what is art, what is the influence, the political influence in a clean art. Thank you so much, and these are my email and the website.
Dear Mar, thank you. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be present at your presentations. And thank you so much for sparing some time and joining us today. Okay, I will now invite our colleague and professor from the University of Belgrade, Radmila Janicic. Radmila Janicic is Professor of Marketing and Public Relations at the University of Belgrade, Faculty of Organizational Sciences. Radmila is visiting professor at the University Mediterranean. Main topics that she lectures are marketing, strategic marketing, marketing in arts and culture, and media communications. She's mentor for graduate papers, master papers, and doctoral dissertations. She's an author of many books and scientific papers on international conferences and journals. She's a member of the editorial board of International Journal for Literature and Arts. She was a member of workshop at the Manchester Business School. She's a member of American Marketing Association. She has organized seminars in the field of marketing in arts and culture. She is a member of the Serbian Marketing Association. Professor Radmila Janicic is visiting professor at University of Split, Faculty of Economy in Croatia, and she's a member of Athens Institute for Education and Research. Professor Janicic, welcome today. It's time for your presentation, Social Marketing and Communication. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Natasa Kraljevic. I'm very glad and I'm honored that I'm a part of this beautiful and meaningful conference. The topic of my paper and my little impact is social marketing and communications in sending messages by arts. Marketing is science, philosophy, and arts. And it is very important as a scientist that we won't be able to survive in science if we don't keep an open mind to the advantages afforded by interdisciplinary approaches. This is model of holistic marketing approach based on internal marketing, communication between workers and colleges, also integrated marketing. It is publicity that we share with our target audiences, also responsible marketing and relationship marketing. All aspects of holistic marketing approach is very important in sending message by art. There is some models of relationship marketing as part of holistic marketing by Professor Kotler that say that it is very important that we know and we have CRM about our colleges, about artists, about influence of people in arts and sending message by arts. Now, I will say that experience marketing as part of marketing is also very, very important in some artistic projects like theater, paintings, and other arts department in sending message by art. Experience marketing, this is model of experience marketing. And now I will say that social marketing is maybe our key point, that social marketing we use in order to raise awareness about some problems in society. Social marketing, I always say to students that it is key for raising awareness to students and to the audience about social problems. For example, about some political situation, about, for example, very hard situation like transfusion of blood, about social movements, about student situation, and so on. So the key for raising awareness and social movements and changes is social marketing and also education. I also think that that education is key for open mind, for support, and for inspiration in communication, like our colleagues Ulrike and Oliver said before. It is very, very important. There is also model for social marketing, where is in topic is value creation. We have to create value for our target audience. And also it is very important that we have capability, opportunity, and motivation to our target audience to raise awareness about some social problems and social movements. Arts obviously open hearts, and we could send messages by art. A new marketing approach will be sensor marketing, nostalgia marketing, and emotional marketing. It is parts of social marketing. Now I will say very important sentences that I stay very silent before this sentence, said by Konstantin Rigos. He is director of ballet company at the Greek National Opera. And he said in the TED Talks that culture and arts open questions, promoting thoughts, ideas, and values that might be otherwise go unnoticed. And it is very, very important. It is Greek National Theatre and Opera. And I will also say that the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on the fighting the old, but on building the new, said Socrates. And this one is very important for me, Aristotle. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And this one is great. Nonviolence communication, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he said, the time is always right to do what is right. Knowledge is the instrument for human rationality, which will lead us to better tomorrow. So a synergy of social marketing, experience marketing, arts, and education, I think that is a core for social movements and social changes. Education is the most powerful weapon or tools which you can use to change the world, Nelson Mandela. Also, there is a campaign, social marketing campaign for empower girl change in the world and girls' education. This is our social media that we could use for social changes. And also there is Albert Einstein words and sentence, imagination is the highest form of research. I agree. This is Rainer Maria Rilke that said that we'd always have our living questions. Beautiful, beautiful sentences. There is John Lennon, artist, singer. When he was young, he wrote that he wanted only to be happy, and also he wrote a really beautiful song, Imagine all the people living in the peace. Okay, this is Sweden. Also, I didn't know that you come from Sweden. This is Sweden influencer Jonna Jinton. She is painters, and she paintings in rural part of Sweden, and a very nice influencer, painter, and I follow her very often. TEDx interaction and communication and talks are important in social movements. There is an excellent Professor Gabor Mate for Canada, and he talks very often about social movement, even his doctor, okay? And there is some super dads play by UNICEF. Every child has the right to fair start in life by UNICEF. There is impact of Maria Callas, Disney, Einstein, Pablo Picasso, and obvious Gandhi. Books also have a great impact on social movements and raising awareness about social problems. There is one part, if we later we'll have time, I will tell you what is about. The point of this sentence is by Mesha Selimovic, that we could come back to books, and books never ask us where we been, and books never be angry on us. Books hug us as friends and start again friendship with us. Beautiful sentences by Bosnian writer Mesha Selimovic, beautiful. This is bookstores. Now I will say about movies and impact of movies. There is Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. Experience never gets old. Beautiful movie. This is beautiful also Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep's and Message. For me, this is the most beautiful film. It is The Breakfast at Tiffany. Very often I look this film, and every time I find a different message. For example, first time I find a message that she loved her brother very much. Then I found message that similar people get together and so on. This is also beautiful film. It is good that could be Good Will Hunting. This is Salinger, My Year with Salinger, and this is Sophia Loren in the name of Italia. Beautiful Sophia Loren in a new film about foster care and about living life beautiful. This is an example of organization named House of Beautiful Business. There are artists, people, educators, musicians that work in synergy and in order to change society, to find a spark in our society. And I love very much to come to their events, sometimes by Zoom, online, digital, sometimes in real. There is one touchable installation in the name of our sadly pandemic. And now I will just pass this beautiful photography from Louvre and Tate Modern in London. And I will say that Tate Modern is very important, that open doors for young people, that young people with parents could come, write, paint. Many of them will come painters, but many of them just open mind in this beautiful space to communicate. I will go to some example of that I experienced in Athens. This was exhibition for 500 of living Leonardo da Vinci, 500 years of genius, and it was beautiful time. I could say to you as my colleagues that I spent all days in this beautiful space in exhibition. There was part that we could share our experience, and I was very expressed that read beautiful sentences like in time and with water everything changed. Water is the driving force in nature. Very beautiful sentences. Now, I will go further. There is also my experience, Van Gogh, living beloved Van Gogh life, also in Athens. I experienced this beautiful exhibition, and there is example, it was digital and real exhibition. There was installation of his room in Paris, and there are so many, there are paintings and description of time when he painted, and description of his thoughts and his letters to his brother Theo. Very interesting, very touchable, very touchable. There will also some example of local. I would love to say just about one artist, Lisa Christine. She is photographer and she traveled around the world, and he documented that unfortunately in our world exists slavery, people that work without money, without dollars, and it is really touchable. Lisa Christine, and her work is blessed by Papa Francesco, and also I'm very proud in the name of Italia, and Papa blessed her work and prepare in Vatican exhibition of her work. Okay, there is so many examples, and I will finish with beloved music. I think that music sends strong messages very often. For example, Streets of Philadelphia with Oscars for this song and also for this movie, and excellent Bruce Springsteen. There is Jean-Michel Jarre, beautiful violinist Taron Hakase, Greek singer Adonis Remos, Lenny Kravitz, with the song It's Enough. This song have a warning that this is very hard context to see, and this is also very activism group Massive Attack. And in the name of Italia, this is beloved Pavarotti, with Bryan Adams, and this is beautiful smile of Pavarotti when Bryan Adams touched the highest note of song O Sole Mio, O Sole Mio. This is also in the name of Italia, beautiful song Due Vite by Marco Megnoni, and there is a beautiful sentence, if this is the last song, and after this song the moon exploded. This is very touchable thoughts about very sad and very hard times in our life. This is Michael Bolton with song Beautiful World in the name of synergy of the people, and sentence of this song is if we come together we could make a beautiful world. Very nice, because he sent a very strong message. And this is also some murals by Banksley. And education, I will focus on education, some Greek sentences. For example, there are moments that the truth seems like a lie. I did some focus group with artists, and all artists made conclusion that art send message, very strong message. And Gandhi said, be the change you want to see the world. And today we are that change that we want to see in the world. This is literature that I use in the paper. And thank you so much, dear friends.
Thank you so much, Professor Janicic. Thank you for giving us a tour around the world and take us at least for a short in such beautiful places. We have some time left, but I would like to go back shortly to Ulrike and Oliver and also Mar, just asking him a question or two. First of all, Ulrike and Oliver, as you mentioned in your presentation, you mentioned so many things, and unfortunately, we don't have time to discuss all of them, and it's so many important issues that I would like to discuss with you, as I often do, and we often need a lot of time for that. So you mentioned that the next conference of Compendium is happening in Montenegro, and we know that Montenegro became a member of this association in 2022. My question here is, I would like to share with the students and with the public, what are the direct benefits that society this association can contribute. I know that you are empowering the cultural policy, the system of culture, and supporting institutions through many tools that you mentioned, but how would you describe that in short for our audience?
In very short, yeah, that's very difficult because I said we are very a complex association, but nevertheless, I could try, and I would say we are there to inform everyone and to give you all kind of different perspective and examples of what is happening in the cultural policies and cultural field in general, and to exchange these views, to give, as said, good practices and bad practices, or to show trends and developments in this context. And then the main benefit is to develop. I think develop as an individual and as a policy maker and the country itself. Let's say like this, if we have persuaded 100 Montenegrin cultural policy makers to do it more direction freedom of artistic expression, it will change the country, you see. So that's the interest behind. And in fact, cultural policies are very much influencing the culture and this way also the social environment in Europe and in the individual countries and in Europe. And that's, we think it's important to make it under human rights laws aspects, meaning democratic rule of law and human rights are very important aspects of our work. And this we transmit also via our work.
And just to add, becoming a member of the Compendium of Cultural Policy trends also support with financial issue the work that we're doing and the honorarium that we can pay, and in order to improve the exchange. So this is another aspect as well. And of course, being a member, you are part of our machinery room, and you can develop in which kind of direction the Compendium is going, which will be the next focus issue. So there are a lot of things we are discussing together if you're a member, just to add the information Oliver already gave you.
Thank you very much. Now, Mar, I wanted to ask you, you were explaining us how actually art and can be used and how often was and is. But on the same time, we need to connect, we need to cooperate, we need to be a member of bigger society, of bigger group. And in the same time, we need to protect the culture, and we need to be protect our identity. So it's not an easy task, not on the state level, not on the individual level. So I think that everything goes directly to individuals. Do you agree? It's an obligation for every and each of us to actually finding that line and to understand what means protect on one side, what means to join on the other. How would you describe that?
Thank you for the question, Natasha. You just do it